with Chief Joseph.
In 1832, Samuel F.B. Morse was assisted by Alfred Vail to conceive the idea for an electronic telegraph. A telegraph is a small machine that disrupts the flow of electricity between 2 points and makes sounds, and those sounds are converted into symbols of dots or dashes. Morse needed to create a code to be transferred on the telegraph and decided to call it Morse code. It uses a series of dots and dashes to form letters. It was the first telegraph message was sent in 1844, and it was "What hath God wrought?" And in 1845, Morse hired Andrew Jackson's former postmaster general to help get other companies on board for funding of the telegraph. And more companies started making their own telegraphs. The printing telegraph was very popular because it would intercept the Morse code symbols and turn them into letters and print them out on a piece of paper. In 1851, there were over 50 separate telegraph companies in the United States. Telegraphs were widely used on railroads. Instead of the conductors having to use stopwatches and pocket watches to see if there was a train coming at them, people at the station would use telegraph lines to communicate way faster to let train conductors and engineers know if there was a runaway train or a train on the same track as them. In 1838, Morse had started getting more and more companies to work for him, and one of the main companies that owned a large portion of the telegraphs was AT&T. And in 1854, there were two rival systems of telegraphs: the NYM-VPTC in the West, and these two systems consisted of 13 separate companies. All the companies were using Morse patents in 5 states north of Ohio River. This created a struggle between 3 separate entities, leading to an unreliable and inefficient telegraph service. The owners of these rival companies eventually decided to invest their money elsewhere, and arrangements were made for the NYM-VPTC to purchase their interest. Hiram Sibley recapitalized the company in 1854 under the same name and began a program of construction and acquisition. The most important takeover was I lost where I was reading. Oh my god. It just completely disappeared. I don't even know what's happening right now. Anyway, so yeah, in 1856, the company name was changed to the Western Union Telegraph Company, which is one of the largest telegraph companies. There was 2 main telegraph lines that connected West North America to East North America. That was the transcontinental telegraph line. And to communicate between countries, a transcontinental or transatlantic telegraph was made, and it was coated in resin from trees to keep the electricity from leaking into the water, and it went from 10 days by ship for messages to be sent from Great Britain to America to several minutes by telegraph. So that's a very large drop. And Sibley, the guy who made the Western Union, sent the man to California, where he consolidated all the small local telegraph companies and turned them into one large company, which is the California State Telegraph Company. This entity then organized the Overland Telegraph Company, which handled construction eastward from Carson City, Nevada, joining the existing California lines to Salt Lake City, Utah. Sibley's Pacific Telegraph Company built westward from Omaha, Nebraska. Sibley put most of his resources into the venture. The line was completed in October of 1861.